back to Catching Up with the Comers. Super excited for this series we have for you. It is going to be Cooking with Momma Comer. So she's going to go through some of her best recipes and I guess family recipes. I don't know, it's kind of all up in her head and doesn't write anything down, so I'm going to struggle later in life, but that's okay. So tonight though, what we made for you, well, she did all the work, I just kind of stood there. But it's called, we like to call it Mexican lasagna. So I hope you guys enjoy it. If we make you hungry while watching this video, please give us a like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you guys can see all the other recipes she's going to come up with. But she also made what we like to have with our Mexican lasagna is chorizo rice. So A1 guys, it's so tasty. And anyways, we hope you enjoy. Comment down below if you decide to make the dish and let us know what it tastes like and if you enjoyed it. But this is what it looks like whenever you're finished, however you want it to look. And y'all, let me tell you, it is so good. Look at that steam.
We start with making our own corn tortillas by using this maseca. It's awesome. It's super easy. All you have to do is follow the directions on here. I'm only going to need about 12 tortillas, so I'll be able to just do the 2 cups with 1.5 cups of water. So when it just comes together just like that, I'm going to go ahead and make these into my 12 balls that I need so that I'll end up with 12 tortillas. We're going to use, this will be a 2-layer lasagna. I use about 6 per layer so that they overlap. Okay, so now it's time to press them out. I do have this little handy dandy tortilla press. I'm just going to press this. I usually press them 3 or 4 times to get them nice and flat. I turn it over so I get different angles. So I get it all the way thinned out on every side. And then it goes down on my skillet here. I've been preheating my skillet. I do have it on high. I like this copper skillet. It doesn't stick and it kind of gives the same flavor of a cast iron skillet. That would also be a really good option to use to make your tortillas. I'm just gonna put that down. So these are kind of like pancakes. You'll know when to turn them. They're gonna start to dry out. The edges are gonna start to curl up just a little bit. That's a good sign that the underneath side is almost to the point of where you want to flip it over, depending on how dark you want them and if you want any spots. Now that the tortillas are made, we are going to start the filling part. So I need to start with my enchilada sauce because again, I make that homemade. So I want to get that going so it'll be nice and thick before so that it's ready when I start my layering my enchilada. So I start with a stick of butter. I'm just gonna melt this down in a pot. I'm also going to preheat my oven to 425. While I wait for that butter to melt down, I'm gonna go ahead and start browning the hamburger as well. Waiting for my ground beef to brown. I'm gonna go ahead and cut up my veggies because we're also having a dish called, we just call it chorizo rice because I use chorizo in it, I guess. It's one of our favorites to go with this Mexican lasagna though. So I'm just gonna peel my onion, slice these peppers so that you're not getting all of your seeds in it and getting those everywhere. You will just slice around them, getting all that skin part that sticks it together, and I'm leaving the seed pod intact. We'll start browning these up. Just takes a couple minutes to kind of get them. You don't want them totally soft because you also need to add the chorizo and the cauliflower rice, so they'll continue to cook in the skillet as those other things are warming up as well. I'm going to put these in a preheated pan, that has a little bit of olive oil in them. Okay, so my butter's melted, so I need to add about 9 tablespoons of flour. But you start with this roux, and then once you have all that mixed up, you're going to add in chili powder. We're going to add to our roux about the amount of a normal packet would be. So we are going to stir in about 5 tablespoons of this. I'm going to stop at 4 and stir it up and see how it looks. This looks pretty good and pretty dry here, and like it's ready for my beef broth. So I'm going to just eyeball this. But we want about 2 to 2.5 cups of beef broth in this to make a good thick sauce. You're just going to kind of eyeball this really until you get it to the consistency that you like. Then I'm just going to let that simmer while I finish the ground beef. This would also be good if you like to just use turkey or chicken. Shouldn't change the taste too much. You're going to want to get this to a very slight boil. That way it'll start thickening. Oven's ready. Once you get that to just that light boil, then you can turn it down a little bit and let it just simmer, and then that's when it will really thicken up for you. Again, you're making it as an enchilada sauce, so you don't want it to be thick, super thick, but you want it to coat the back of a spoon basically. Okay, so my enchilada sauce has thickened up nicely. I'll just show you what I mean when it sticks to the back of the spoon. That's really good. It's about what you want right there. So it's still thin. In the meantime, I've also my ground beef finished browning, and I've drained off the excess fat. Now I'm just going to put just a little bit of this enchilada sauce in the ground beef. You could also flavor it with taco seasoning or however you want your meat flavored. Of course, I just put just a tiny bit in here and spread this around because I'm going to pour the other sauce over the ground beef, so it's definitely going to get covered anyway. So we are ready to start layering our lasagna. So I'm going to start with putting a little bit on the bottom of my pan. So this was about 2 pounds of ground beef that I did. So yes, I'm using about a pound per layer. We like the beef here. I'm just gonna end with cheese though. I'm gonna cover this with foil. It's gonna go in the oven for 15 minutes at 425. Then I'm gonna pull off the foil and let it stay in the oven until the top layer of cheese gets nice and melty. So like I said, we're gonna cook this for about 4 minutes probably, depending on how hot your skillet is. It'll take 4 to 5 minutes for these to start turning translucent. Right as I add in the chorizo, I'll add in the garlic. Stir it around for just a little bit so it will have a chance to cook. Okay, so these are starting to soften up, so I'm going to go ahead and add in my garlic. Just going to put about a teaspoon in. So if you were using a, it would probably be like 2 cloves of garlic if you wanted to chop fresh. Okay, so I'm going to add in my chorizo sausage now. You can get these at, you can find chorizo at any grocery store. It's located usually by like where the lunch meats are. I just usually make a well inside my veggies, and that way I know that my chorizo gets cooked. I cook it up there before I stir it in. So I'll chop this up right here. Depending on how spicy you want it would be dependent on how many logs of the chorizo that you put in. We have some people that can handle spicy here and some that don't like it as spicy, so I usually do about 2 logs of it. Just going to let that cook a little bit before I start stirring it into my veggies. The nice thing about the chorizo is it is kind of fatty, so it's going to create some grease. So when I stir this around, then it's going to flavor all of my veggies, including the cauliflower rice, which we are going to add in next. Okay, so at the wholesale store where I shop, it's called BJ's Wholesale. It's a lot like a Sam's. They sell in the frozen section cauliflower rice, so that is super handy. So it's already broken up for us. Dump that in. I just use 1 package. I'm going to stir this around and basically just let it heat up. Just getting it all stirred around, so like I said, everything can get covered in that yummy chorizo drippings. For us, the chorizo flavors it enough. So I'm just gonna leave this be and let that cauliflower heat up and cook. Very end, I'm gonna add some cheese on top of it and it will be good to go. There it is, Mexican lasagna. We literally slice it up like it's lasagna. And then you just top it with your favorite toppings. We have some tomatoes, lettuce, sour cream, jalapenos, and some Cholula out.